Wes Craven has passed away, and for a huge horror fan like myself, I had to make a top 5 films by the man who created some of the best. I mean, he created horror icons, and also had some of the stories that he written or directed with, just they linger with me. They're still with me, even when I'm a little kid watching horror movies till now. So, and in the end, actually helped me form some of my short stories in terms of horror. So with that, I had to create this list and give my thoughts on the man's best work. Let's go. Number 5 has to be Nightmare on Elm Street, A New Nightmare. Well, not the best of the bunch, it's still one of my favorite, and definitely my second favorite of all the Nightmare on Elm Street films. It was pretty smart, making it a very, meta-type film. In it, Freddy was an icon in the world, he was an actor, everybody was just actors playing Nightmare on Elm Street, until the nightmare comes actually breaking through our world to become real. This is easily one of the more unique works of Wes Craven, and it only improved when he did the meta world into the next film I'm about to talk about. Coming in at number 4 is definitely Scream. Who expected this one? I was young when it came out, but it just blew me away. How it was set up, all the twists, a realistic situation, and funny meta humor that made it so worth watching. Not to mention that mask. It's gotta be one of the best and most iconic masks since Friday the 13th. It really just stuck with me. And we got a really scary movie because it made so many different ideas work in it. So it's gotta be one of the best horror movies I've ever seen, or at least in the Wes Craven catalog. Coming in at number 3 is Hills Have Eyes. Now, maybe one of the first films really to push the rating system, Hills Have Eyes was just pure disgusting, but in a good way to horror fans. People who looked like monsters and these disturbing deaths, and it really was pushing the gore back in the day. Hills Have Eyes was one of the first horror films I actually saw when I was 7 years old. Yeah, don't judge me, I was young, shut the fuck up. But it's still really good. It might not be as good as Scream, but to me, it has that lasting effect that really worked. Number 2 has to be Nightmare on Elm Street, the very first one. That's right, it was a game changer. Having a man becoming a creature of nightmares that could kill you while you sleep? What in the fucking world? And then razor blade fingers and a burnt face and cracking inappropriate jokes? Yeah, that was cool. Anyway, it was just, this movie had everything you could want in a horror film. And it was so different than everything back then in terms of everybody going super slasher. And you can't go anywhere without people not knowing who Freddy effing Krueger is. So yeah, definitely Nightmare on Elm Street has to be number 2. The Last House on the Left, his very first film. I know Nightmare would probably be most people's number 1, and I can understand it, but man, this movie still sticks with me. It had a so-so remake a few years back, and it just made me want to go back and rewatch the original. With one of the most disturbing, and I don't say this lightly, rape scenes ever, it really pushed the film's idea of pure rage and revenge. What would you do if you found your daughter who was beaten and raped, and the people who you were just helping a little while ago did it? What would you do? Oh yeah, this had the perfect amount of emotion, and the way the family got back at these fuckers made me just love this movie and remember it even till this day when I saw it when I was like 7 or 8 years old. It was a big inspiration also for my short story Killing Your Boss in terms of creating actual relatable characters, or characters that aren't so perfect but they still make the film even better. So I just love this film, and to me this is the most Wes Craven movie out there, and it's just so unique and so wonderful. It's got to be my number 1. It's pretty close between this and Nightmare, but this is my number 1. So that is my top 5 Wes Craven films. There are some that I didn't mention that some people would actually probably put above these. But for me, these are what sums up the guy who made some of the best horror movies. From meta humor to bright and new ideas inside the genre that was getting tiring, to, and this is the most important, making characters you actually care about in a horror movie. That does not happen very often. So, with that, I want to say, rest in peace, Wes Craven. You really, really made your mark in the horror world, and I will never forget you. I continue to watch all your movies, even some I haven't even watched. I'm going to go back and now watch them, and you really changed everything. So, It's terrible that he passed away, but he left a mark, and that's what you can hope in life, is to leave something behind that someone can love. And I gotta say, these 5 movies I listed, I freaking loved. So thank you, Wes Craven, for making my crazy-ass horror childhood even crazier. And, of course, thank you for helping me become even a better writer. So I hope everybody here puts rest in peace, Wes Craven, and also I want you to list some of the great movies this man has made. Everyone have a good day, and Whitey out.